Hi, and welcome back to our Hill and Ponton video blog for Social Security disability cases. I'm Natalia Jofre.
And I'm Shelly Mark, the Senior Social Security Attorney.
So we're talking about disability cases. We've talked about how age 55 is the golden number in order to qualify for benefits. And we mentioned in our last video blog the importance of the work history report. So just a little bit of background on that. Whenever you apply for benefits, Social Security is going to send you several forms to complete.
Several.
Yeah, a lot. And it's a good discourager too for people to apply, and that's
true.
That's part of their little trick. But the work history report is a really important piece of evidence. Many times they send it at the beginning of the case. Actually, it's one of the mandatory required forms, and then they might send another one once you've been scheduled for hearing, and we can talk about that more later. But the work history report is basically a summary of all of the places you've worked, the type of work that you did, how much weight you lifted and carried regularly, sporadically, how long you stood, how long you walked, how long you sat, things like that. Did you do any pushing, pulling? It's a series of questions, and so they look at every single job. What did you do? All of those requirements for that job, and then they get that report and they take it apart, because the importance of that is
It will, I shouldn't say that it always is, but in a lot of cases, the judges look directly at that report during a hearing.
Yeah.
So they're really looking at that to determine what your past work was. Now, you can testify differently than what your report says, but you don't really want to, because you can cause an issue of credibility. So you really want that initial work history report to actually reflect whatever it would be that you're going to be saying that you performed in a hearing. I don't know why, but I notice a lot of times in my cases that initial report is blank.
Yeah, a lot of people don't complete it.
Right. Which really, if you think about being over 55, at the initial level, if you're not telling Social Security what your job was, there's no way.
They're going to deny you.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that that's a huge problem. People won't complete the report. And many times when they say, we didn't receive sufficient evidence in order to evaluate your case, that's one of the things that they're referring to. If they don't get that completed report from you, and listen, Social Security doesn't want you on their payroll.
Right.
So if that's an easy and fast way to deny you, they're going to say, you've got, 10 days to get this report in. And if they don't have it, they're just going to stamp your case denied, and they're going to move on to the next. But it is really, really important to complete that report thoroughly. And I just want to say that some of the limitations, so like clients will tell me, well, this is asking how long do I sit, stand, and walk, and I do that all day, and I'm always changing from one thing to another, and so they put 8, 8, and 8, right, for a full-time job.
Right.
Well, no. What they're looking for is how many of those 8 hours are you sitting? How many are you walking? How right? So if you're primarily walking, then you're going to want to maybe put 5 hours, standing or walking, and then 3 hours sitting, or 3, 2, and 3, because I'm doing quick math in my head.
That's right.
In other words, the hours need to add up to 8.
Right.
Another big pitfall that we see people or mistake that they make is with the lifting and carrying.
Yes.
So they'll say, I don't ever lift and carry anything in my job, and so they'll put nothing. They'll put 0. And then you'll talk to a secretary and be like, well, did you ever load the copier, with paper? Oh, yeah, well, I have to carry these big boxes full of files, or I have to get these books, or, I have to get the copy paper and put it in the machine, and that thing weighs about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
All of that counts.
And I see a pattern of individuals that have performed heavy work, whether it's construction or machine operation or some kind of surveying or whatever it is, and they've performed that work for a long period of time and then suffered an injury. And then because of their seniority and the fact that they've been there, they're given accommodations to where, as long as there are other crew members there, they'll do the lifting or the carrying for them. But on that form, we need to put what you would be required to do to get that job, right? Not, since you've been given accommodation. So what would actually be required in the position.
Yeah. And one of the good things is that if we're representing you, in order to avoid those discrepancies, we will actually review those forms. We'll many times help you complete them because we're presenting it differently. So in other words, it's what did you do on a regular basis? What about this? What about that? Prompting you to remember those things that you did actually do. But that report, I can't stress enough how very important it is for it to be accurate initially, because if we have to fix it later on, where we actually say, did you ever do this? And then you're like, oh yeah. And then we amend the report or submit a new one at the hearing level. When those discrepancies occur, judges don't like that.
That's true.
And they tend to think that they're like, oh, this changed now that you're represented. And it's like, we're not going to make up information for you, but we are going to help you write down what was your reality when you were working.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to continue talking about cases in different disability scenarios over age 55. So we hope that you'll join us again. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to visit our website or call our office.
Thank you.